You're listening to Podcast PXN, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Let's do this. What's up, guys? Welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 54. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the pride of PlayStation, Sean Babiak, and the Nintendo aficionado, Roro. Guys, welcome back. I don't know. That was my
We were gone?
Yeah.
Where'd we go?
We were gone. We were gone for a week. We're back.
That's true. I made it 2 weeks in a row, Daniel.
Yeah, that's a miracle in of
I think
itself.
3 weeks at this point now.
Yeah. Just as a reminder, we are still giving away t-shirts to anyone who participates in the live YouTube chat for our episode 50 celebration, ladies and gentlemen. So drop a comment in there while we are recording live, and you will get a free t-shirt. Also, today we are giving away this coffee mug at the end of the show. All you have to do is comment live in the YouTube chat in order to have a chance to win. You'll basically get entered into a drawing. I'm going to put in a random number, and then we're going to pick a person. So that'll happen at the end of the show after the topic of the show. So make sure you guys check that out. So, thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN and you will find us on there. That was a mouthful. The topic of the show this week, guys, is the Spiderman PS5 remaster details that we have learned, as well as some unfounded, in my opinion, outrage from it as well. But first, the show always starts with the PXN news of the week, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Guys, the first item on the PXN News of the Week, we have Mafia Definitive Edition early reviews coming out, and they are largely positive right now. I think I checked a little bit ago, and I think it was at a 79 on Metacritic, which is good. And a lot of people have been, lauding it for its visual fidelity. It definitely has the same visual fidelity as Mafia 3, which looked very good this gen. I think the main complaints is that they don't really, build the world out that much. So it has a kind of a hollow world, which was ironically one of the problems with Mafia 3. In essence, people say that the story is one of the best of the series and that this is a really good remaster, and they just don't do a whole lot to, bring it to 2020 standards. But I'm excited to play it. I bought the trilogy, the remastered trilogy, and I'm excited to get back to this. Roro, I don't think you've played the Mafia games, but Sean, you did say that you played the original, and you said you swore you would never go back. But is this going to sway you at all?
No. And it's no offense to what they have done and all the time and effort they've put into it, but
yeah,
I'm in a different mode, I think, right now. It's a little bit of next gen, a little bit of almost, this will sound weird, but like panicky to like kind of clean up some of my back catalog and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all get that way towards the launch of new generation. So that's a game I already technically played, so I need to kind of move on.
That's fair. And like I said, the technical improvements aren't the gameplay improvements aren't really there. It's mainly just, visuals that are improving. So, Roro, does this get you interested into Mafia at all, or what are your thoughts?
When I remember us talking about it a while ago when it was first announced, I was interested. I still am. I think this is a game where I say I'm going to get to it, and I probably never will.
Yeah.
I think that's the boat that I'm in right now. I'm definitely interested. Sometime in the future, I hope to play it. Will I actually do it? Still remains to be seen. But I am glad that it's getting positive reviews with fans and all that stuff. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it.
That's fair. And let's be honest, you have to play Outer Worlds before this anyways, Roro.
No. Daniel, you and I agreed on this. Ori.
I don't know. Moving on.
I'm giving you an Xbox exclusive.
Let's give some love to the people in the chat. Wax in, which again, Zach Wynn, you're trying to play on words again. He says, I want that mug. You've entered yourself into a chance to win it. And S. Rankin, who is my boy Scotty out there, says, Daniel, bring me the mug tomorrow. Thanks. How about you win it first? I'm not giving this away to you unless you win it. All right, so moving on, guys. Among Us 2 has been canceled for them to focus on content for the original game instead. I thought this was interesting just because this game has been blowing up lately on Twitch, and the original game actually came out in 2018, but it's just now starting to get, fired up in terms of popularity again. I think this is the right decision for this game because I see it more valuable for them to just update the original game and just give us more content and expand on what that game is. And that game is a lot of fun. It just needs a lot more polish to it. So I'm definitely interested in seeing them do more updates and enhancements and stuff like that. So if this game comes out on consoles, guys, are you guys going to check this out?
Yes. Dude, it's littered everywhere in the internet. Not just Twitch, TikTok, YouTube. It's everywhere. And I don't know if I really get the concept yet, just from watching those videos. But I'd like to experience it at least once, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm in the same boat. I have played it on PC, but as you were saying with the improvements, and I'm glad that they're sticking to it, it does need a little bit more fine-tuning, and I'm glad they are sticking with it and just, since it becomes so popular, just keep improving upon it. Like the matchmaking needs a little bit fixing, especially for people like me who don't have a group yet to just hop in with. Finding a group is a little bit difficult at first. Once you get it, you're in, but it's hard to find that first match sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's great. And if they ever decide to do a sequel anytime in the future, whatever that looks like, they'll already have a committed fan base and they'll be eager for more, whatever that looks like. So I think this is great that they're continuing on improving the first game.
Yeah, you're totally right, Roro, because that was a pain in the butt when I downloaded that game to try to get into a match for the first time. But once you got in there, it was very cool. Yeah. And I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago when Sean was out, Roro, that I think it would be awesome if they implemented voice chat in game. I think that would be super cool.
Isn't that kind of the point, though, is not voice chat in the game?
Well, only when you go to the meetings or whatever, because you have your meetings, and then your voice chat gets activated, and then you deactivate when you leave the meeting. So essentially, you can't communicate with each other if you're dead or if you are not in one of those meetings. Because the way the Twitch streamers have been doing it is they go into Discord channels and they just do it manually. They tell everyone.
Okay, maybe that's then where I've been led astray.
Yeah. Yep. So, moving on, guys, some big news from Amazon. Amazon has announced Amazon Luna game service, which is apparently a cloud-based gaming application that is going to allow you to play current games that are coming out. So, I thought there was some interesting things in regards to this. One of which is there's some former Xbox executives that are actually working on it. One of which was Mark Whitten, who was the head of Xbox Live for a long time during the Xbox 360 generation, and even the early Xbox One generation. He is actually basically heading up Amazon Luna. He's the head honcho, so to speak. And then they had Albert Pinello, who was one of the lead guys in developing the Xbox One X and One S designs. He actually made the controller for Luna, which it looks like a basic controller. I mean, I don't know how different it can be, but I thought it was interesting just because What they are doing, I feel like, is different than what Google's doing with Stadia, because I think Luna is essentially a PC that you're playing in the cloud. So games will just work on day one when they're released, because it's essentially just a PC that's being streamed from the cloud down to your device. And it's not really the same as Stadia, which Stadia is its own proprietary device that Google created. They created this, like, I think it's like a 10 teraflop machine or something, and developers have to develop specifically for that machine. So I do think it's interesting that they're taking that approach. I still don't know if cloud will ever get to the point where it's on par with, local playing on your console gaming, because the low latency is an issue and all of that. What do you guys think? Does this pique your interest any more than Stadia, or is it still kind of just, it's not really for me personally, or what? What's your take?
For me, it doesn't pique my interest too much. If I'm ever going to get into cloud gaming, whether it be Stadia or Luna, it's probably not going to be either. It's probably going to be xCloud is what might do in the future. What I'm interested is in the pricing, which I thought was kind of interesting, how they're doing it a little bit different than Stadia. How Stadia, you have the subscription and then you have to buy the games. And I think Luna is doing like channels, is what I think I read, where you pay the $6 for the subscription each month, and depending on what channels you're subscribed to, that increases. So I think there's a Ubisoft channel.
Yep.
So it's $5.99, and if you want the Ubisoft channel, you have to pay for that as well, and then you just get the games. You don't have to pay for the games. Is that right?
Yes, I think that is correct, and that actually
that's
sense.
The way I understood it.
Right. So I think that's pretty cool. That's an interesting way of doing it, not having to buy the games. At the same time, it's interesting that you're paying twice in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like a Netflix subscription, but instead of having all the movies, you have to pay for the horror movie section. It's like, I don't know. It's an interesting model, but I think it's interesting. It's like Game Pass, but it costs more depending on how many channels you have. So it'll be interesting down the line to see how many channels they are, how much they cost, and how many channels you decide to have. Like, how many games are on there, I guess. Like, are there going to be Bethesda games? Well, I guess not, but
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see the channels that are on there in the future.
It reminds me of PS View. I don't know if you guys ever had that, Daniel. You and I talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of that, where you almost got to pick and choose your channels that you wanted to pay for on PlayStation service. And I loved that model until it obviously went away, because I only needed live TV for sports. So that's all I did was pay for the sports channels, and I was good to go. So I really enjoyed that part of it, but I'm in the same boat as you, Roro, where I'm just, I don't need something else, for one, and two, cloud. I don't have that type of internet. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the majority of people don't, but I will give them credit for, I think, having a smarter plan, at least price point wise, than Google itself. I just don't know if I see this kind of catching on, because isn't this like kind of their second foray into gaming? Didn't they have something else into gaming a while ago that didn't really succeed?
Yeah, I think they did a little bit with Fire Sticks and their like Fire Cube. I think they did make like a little controller to go with that, but you could only play like Android based games on that, because it's an Android platform. Yeah. Ouya is a good one. I actually pre-ordered that on Kickstarter when it came out, or when it started its Kickstarter. Funny story there. But yeah, Amazon.
I think they made a game recently too, Crucible, I think it was what it was called.
Yeah,
and that didn't go very well either.
Yeah, didn't it? I think it came out in like early access or something, and then they delayed it because it was so like poor, like it didn't go over well. I think that's right. Yeah, I mean, Amazon does, just like Google. Amazon does have the money. They could throw a bunch of money at this, certainly, and possibly do something. But like we've said so many times before, I would be just fine, just as happy just keeping the big three, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, because they already do a great job. Like, why do we need these other, companies to come in here? They already have great competition going on, as we're seeing with the prices of the hardware. They continue to go down. This generation is a fantastic generation to get into gaming because the consoles are very affordable. They have different options and so many different uses. So yeah, I agree with you guys completely.
Yeah, I don't see this. I could be wrong. Maybe they can somehow bundle this in with your like Amazon Prime subscription, make you kind of think about like getting it that way.
Yeah.
This to me, I know it's not technically console gaming, but it pretty much is. And what was it? Back in, even after the crash for a little bit, but the crash happened for a reason back in the 80s because there were so many different consoles at that time, or companies. And even still in the 90s, the only two that were surviving were Sega and Nintendo. I think right now with that, Dana, good point, it's got a good balance of the three, because Xbox and Sony compete with each other, where Nintendo just is like, hey, we're weird, so let's be.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know what else Amazon could bring to the table besides money, and that's really it.
Yeah, they don't have any world-renowned first-party developers, so they're not going to make any splashes with games, I don't think.
Yep.
All right, moving on, guys. Roro, we have a new free fall update coming for Animal Crossing New Horizons, coming September 30th, which I checked my calendar. That's today. I don't know. Do you know what's in this, or what kind of stuff they're giving us with this?
So basically, it actually came out last night. So because of time zones, Japan, when it's the September 30th in Japan, it's September 30th for everybody else, apparently. So it came early for everybody else, which was great. So yesterday at 9 p.m. my time, it was released. I downloaded it, and then there was nothing. So that happened for a lot of people because it's not the first yet. And that's really when the update goes live. But they just implemented it today to get us ready and all that kind of stuff. But this is pretty much for Halloween. And you can grow pumpkins now, which people have been speculating. So you can grow pumpkins, and it helps you with new DIY projects for Halloween. And it's just really leading up to that big event that's going to happen at the end of the month. And I'm sure a lot of people have already time traveled to that day to see what that's all about, which is awesome. Not my style. I did time travel to the first, though, to start gathering pumpkins, and then I time traveled back to the 30th, so I'm not messing anything else up. But basically, costumes are in the game. You can customize your character to make them look a little bit more spooky. You could change their skin tone to like more palish colors like gray and some weird zombie colors, basically. So it's just more customization options, more more items to craft, and just some more Animal Crossing wholesomeness. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sean, I know you're very excited for this. This is your favorite game of the year, right?
Ori? Is that what we're talking about again?
No, we're not talking about Ori. All right.
You're in the same boat as I am.
Yeah. It's always good when they give free updates like this, though. That's one thing you have to credit Nintendo with Animal Crossing. They've been giving consistent updates for free, and that's definitely commendable for sure. Yes. Moving on, there is a 1 terabyte custom SSD expansion card that Microsoft announced a long time ago for the Xbox Series S and X, and the price was just revealed late last week, $220. My God. So there's a couple things in regards to this. So I saw a lot of people online saying, well, I don't understand. I can go on Amazon and there's an SSD for, $100 or whatever on there. And it's like, yes, but this is completely different there's a couple things. First thing, the speed on this particular SSD is quite a bit faster than your traditional SSD. So just going to Amazon and searching SSD isn't going to give you the results of a SSD that actually matches the performance of this one. So that's part of the reason for the price. The other part of the reason is this is proprietary technology. So it's a card that goes into your Xbox. obviously that always gets marked up. So it's not surprising seeing this at $220, but it is something like where you're sitting back like, I'm not sure a lot of people will buy this. It's nice to have an option, I guess, if you want to have more space for Series S and X games, but it is extremely costly. And it doesn't make sense for the Series S because the Series S costs $300. If you buy a $220 card,
just buy the X.
Yeah, exactly. Buy the X and get the terabyte instead of 500 gigs. So, yeah, I'm still up in the air if I'm going to get this. And I know that sounds crazy, but I have an 8 terabyte hard drive connected to my Xbox One that's 80% full. So I don't know what I'm going to do when the next console comes. But yeah. What were your guys' inclinations or thoughts in regards to this price?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I've talked about this before. My Xbox is going to be just used with Game Pass for their exclusives. That's all I'm looking forward to. And I think, especially this coming generation, I think you'll get a bang for your buck when it comes to exclusives. But Game Pass really makes it so that's going to be easy for me because they will always be there for me. So if I need to re-download them, I don't have to worry, like memory, boom, they're right there. I don't imagine them getting taken off like I joke about PT all the time with Sony. Like, they're not going to just go away. So if you're a gamer like me or approaching Xbox next gen like I am, there's really no need for this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat, and even with PlayStation, and to an extent Nintendo as well, with my SD card that's in it, it gets full pretty quickly, and I'm pretty used to just deleting and reinstalling software right now, where I don't think it's where I would need to spend $220 for me to get rid of that habit that I'm already in the habit of doing. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to spend the $220 on it. I'll just delete it, reinstall it, and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't take too long to reinstall the games that I play, so it's okay. And I don't do it often, so I usually have my cast of games that I play, and that doesn't change often. So
for sure. And there's a good option as well. There's an alternative. You can use the external hard drives that you use for your Xbox One still, the 3.1 USB, and you can use those to store Xbox Series S and X games, but you can't play the games off of there. So a lot of people have been saying, hey, just store your games on the external hard drive that you plug in with USB, and then just transfer to your SSD when you're ready to play them. So I mean, that's an option as well, and it's a lot cheaper to buy one of those than it is SSD. So, guys, moving on, more Xbox news. Xbox Series S is getting a price drop in Japan. It was originally 32,980 yen and has been dropped to 29,980 yen, which is essentially it goes from like $313 US dollars to $284 US dollars. So it's about a $30 decrease in terms of US money, which is very interesting that they would even announce the console at this other price and then go ahead and like lower it. I guess maybe the digital edition of PS5 kind of forced their hand on that because they're trying to get more market share from the Japanese market. But at this point, I know Phil wants to take market share from Japan because he's talked about Japan being a struggle point for Xbox in general. And I just don't know that there's anything that Phil could do at this point that would actually have that happen, because Sony and Nintendo are based in Japan and they just have so much of a foothold already. I don't see any way that they can pull Japanese gamers into the Xbox ecosystem, I guess, even with this great price point.
Well, who the hell's getting Series S's? That's what I want to know. Or PlayStation Digitals.
Yeah.
No one's getting those.
I got one PlayStation Digital.
You did get one.
Yeah.
I think what you're alluding to, though, is not necessarily a Microsoft problem, but it's also a Sony problem as well, because mobile gaming is so much bigger than it is in North America, or even you could say Europe. Like, it is ridiculous how much people use mobile gaming in comparison to home consoles. So I wouldn't say it's Phil trying to compete with Sony. I'd say it's Microsoft in general trying to compete with your attention on phones. So I mean that's just how that nation has developed as far as apart from Western gamers.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I as Daniel said, like I feel like Japan and Microsoft / Xbox haven't had the best history where, like you said, the gamers there just are more into PlayStation, more into Nintendo. And I think this is a good way to try and make the Xbox a little bit more appealing. But I don't know. As you said, I don't know what else they could possibly do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a lose-lose situation, I think, for them, unfortunately. Moving on, guys. Another Xbox news story. We have a few of those this week. A new Xbox app is coming soon to iOS, which will enable a remote play, which is essentially console streaming for the app as well. So this, in my opinion, this was the biggest part of the entire streaming thing that Microsoft was doing with Xbox, because this is just streaming your Xbox console to your phone. So, and it's completely free. You don't have to pay anything for that, regardless of if you sign up for Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate or anything. This is free for everyone. It's similar to PlayStation 4's remote play that they have on iOS as well, where you can essentially go anywhere still. Like you can be in the middle of nowhere with LTE service and you can connect to your Xbox console at home and play games from your phone that way. And actually, when I played on xCloud, when I was in the test group or whatever, it was actually a better experience playing from my own Xbox. Obviously, it's in my own Wi-Fi, so that makes a difference as well. But it's a better experience that way than it was xCloud because the latency wasn't as bad. So I think this is exciting, and it's free, so that's another great thing as well. Roro, did you ever? I know you had you have a PS4. Have you ever used remote play on there, or have you ever messed around with that?
I did with a Vita, with a PlayStation Vita, like a super long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember what game it was. It must have been like Destiny or something. I don't remember what it was, but I have. Never with my phone, though. So this is cool. I'm glad that they have this option as well. I'm definitely interested in all this xCloud sort of other options to be able to play your games. Definitely interested. So I think this is great. I haven't used the feature often with my PlayStation, but it's great that the option is there.
For sure. And it kind of gets around Apple's whole, stranglehold on the xCloud part of their strategy. So, Sean, you look very interested in the xCloud discussions here. Would you ever use this remote play function on Series X? I know you're getting one, but I don't know if you would ever.
Probably not. I mean, it's Roro. That was a very good example because I remember getting my PlayStation 4 at launch, having a Vita, and playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag in the bathroom, like thinking I'm like such a badass for this. I think that was like the only time I ever did it. It's just not something that interests me. If I want to play a game when I'm not by my console, I have my Switch or I have my phone. So it's like I don't know. I mean, cool for Xbox fans, especially if you don't have a Switch, but you're probably an idiot for not having a Switch since a lot of Xbox titles are heading over there.
That's right.
So I don't know. The only thing that's, I guess, interesting to me about this whole point is Microsoft has come out against Apple and the way that they've done business when it comes to gaming companies. So it's interesting that they are still going to do an app on iOS with this whole still thing going on, because let's not forget this whole Epic versus Apple thing is not over yet. So I don't know. I just find it interesting that some other stuff is still going on while this huge issue, in my opinion, is still being solved.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they get around it because they're not charging anything. This isn't like a subscription or whatever that needs in-app purchases or anything like that. It's all free with the platform. So
yeah,
it's a little way for them to get around that. Let's see here. Moving on, guys. Wait, before we move on, Sean, do I just want to clarify here? Did you wash your hands after playing Assassin's Creed in the bathroom?
No, I just rubbed them on your sheets.
Oh my gosh, disgusting. All right. Moving on.
That was before Corona. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Moving on. We just talked about that. I was going to talk about the same thing again. Press has gotten their hands on Xbox Series X this week and has shown off quite a few things with it, which is very interesting, the things they have to say. Basically, the highlights are Quick Resume is awesome, which is essentially the quick switching between, I think you can do 4 different games where it saves your state and wherever you left off in that game. Load times are insanely a lot better in terms of just backwards compatible games are already better without even having optimizations already. It has a super responsive UI, which is fantastic because Xbox One is sluggish or was sluggish for a long time. The new dashboard kind of has fixed that for Xbox One. And frame rate improvements on old games that haven't been optimized, which to me, that's the most fascinating thing about this is just seeing Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever game out there that's so demanding on your Xbox One X right now just run so well on the Series X, and you get higher frame rates without developers even having to touch the games to enhance them, so to speak. So even the games that aren't labeled with the Series X enhanced, like Gears 5 and Forza Horizon 4 and stuff like that, they're still getting these improvements, which I think is great. And I believe PlayStation 5 is going to do the same thing for PS4 games as well. Roro, what part of that are you most excited about? I don't know. They are all so good.
Yeah, everything is great. I like the quick resume feature where basically if I'm playing a story-driven game and somebody wants to play a multiplayer game with me, I could just hop to the other game pretty easily, and then when I'm done playing the multiplayer game, hop back in and just, without having to reboot it or anything like that, just pick up where I left off. I think that's awesome. That's a really cool feature. As well as Destiny 2, how it's running. I saw a lot of the coverage on it, and Destiny 2 was one of the games that people were allowed to play. And I was like, oh man, let's check this out. And it runs a lot. It runs like how it does on PC, basically. Every time I play Destiny on PS4 for whatever reason, I'm like, this is so how did I ever do this before? Like the menus are like super sluggish. I compare it to PC. I'm sure I was totally used to it when I was playing it, but you get spoiled when you get the superior version, I guess. But I'm just so happy that I'll have that sort of experience on consoles again and not having to play on PC all the time, because I do enjoy playing on my PlayStation. I do enjoy playing on Xbox if I had one. So I'm glad that that's getting the improvements, as you said, without them having to go back and revamp it too much. It's really cool that these quality of life fixes are being added so easily.
I agree. Sean, what are your thoughts?
Well, my first thought was when I found out about like all this stuff, I was like, cool, what are they playing then? Because I'm sorry, I just it's a known quantity that they really don't have anything this fall as far as big, because all their bets were hedged on Halo, which again I do support as far as it being delayed. Make sure that it's a good game. I just like that was my immediate thought, but I do like the stories as far as like backwards compatible games or games that are older, but maybe it's a better way to look at it as games that aren't older, but games as a service, because that's going to be a continuous thing that's going to be happening throughout even this coming generation, where games will have such a long life that, all right, so they run decent at launch, but how does that look like down the road? And now you're already seeing, well, here's where the down the road already is, and it can only probably get better, especially with iterations of consoles and everything like that. So I thought it was a very interesting take. I can't believe Xbox gave the press actually this much time ahead of launch with it. I don't know, that seemed very confident to me. And I like seeing that, because that was always something I hate when it comes to reviews, and I totally agree when media says that, where it's like, if they don't give us a launch copy, or like it's after release, like Bethesda kept constantly doing with their policy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times indicative of what their
Quality.
faith is, or even how the game's going to play. And Microsoft's going pretty cocky on Xbox Series X from the get-go, and I like seeing that confidence, because that just means that we're probably going to get a very good product in the end.
Yeah, I agree completely. And that is something very interesting because, yeah, we are a month and a half out from the console release, and I don't think that's ever happened before where we get a console, a month and a half ahead of time, a good look at it. So, I don't know. We got the latest pre-orders we've ever had before for consoles, and we got the earliest look at it ever. So, it's ironic.
Yeah, I'm curious when. So, like, we all know it's a joke. Both launches or both pre-order launches were pretty bad. I don't blame them on either company for the most part. I blame them on the retailers. But it's like, that was 2 weeks ago. Are we gonna get news of like more anytime soon? I'm just curious if that's ever gonna be a thing, because I don't think we're done with like their directs or Inside Xbox or the PlayStation showcases. I don't think we're done with those for the year. I think we're still going to see a few of them because they're going to want to tout not only what's coming out, but what the future holds for each console.
Yeah.
Like, is that when they're going to give us more pre-orders? Because it just seems it's a little crappy that, hey, yes, a select few of you got it. Good luck finding it in November.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, guys. I'll try not to spend much time on this because I know you guys aren't as interested in this as we've talked about before. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War's zombies were revealed today in a brand new trailer. I think they look very cool. I think it's probably something I'll play because I'll probably pick it up and play the campaign and play some zombies. But I will say the kind of story of this zombies game looks like a little bit generic to me. The characters that they introduced in this trailer looked very flat. There wasn't any personality, whereas the characters from the original zombies cast was very diverse and very interesting. Like, they all had their own unique personalities, which I loved. So yeah, I'm not entirely too high on this, but I guess we'll see what happens when it actually comes out. But just kind of thought we should mention that in there since that kind of is one of the biggest games out there.
Yeah.
So,
according to my my PlayStation friends list here, you're still playing the Call of Duty Cold War Alpha, which must mean that's really good.
I am. Wait a minute.
You have 23 hours so far. Like that's got to be a record, right?
I think my PlayStation's off. Does orange mean it's off?
I think it's resting.
That's resting.
Okay.
I think it just means that you kept the app open and you turned it off.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Stupid.
I turned my PS4 on for that and then turned it right back off, and I still haven't gotten back to Ghost of Tsushima, so that's fine.
Come on, don't break a heart. Don't break a heart.
Moving on to some Sony news, guys. That was a great segue. Sony has patented, and this suggests that a new PlayStation VR unit could use inside-out tracking like Oculus VR. So essentially what this is, the controllers are going to work with the cameras on the headset to track your movements and everything for VR, which is interesting because that actually would mean that we wouldn't need the PlayStation camera in order to use PlayStation VR. And also, Sean, you know what this would mean? You no longer have to use PlayStation 3 Move controllers for PlayStation VR. There you go.
But I have 8 of them. What do I do now?
Yeah. So many people just were like, take these because I don't want them. And I was one of those people.
You, my friend Chris, I already had a pair. A pair came in the bundle. I'm like, oh, okay, now what?
Yeah. So, I don't know. This will be interesting. I think, obviously, an upgrade for PSVR has been long rumored and probably much needed at this point.
Yeah, I'd say especially with what Oculus has done in the last 2 years. Where they've actually became something that's affordable and easy to get into. That was always PlayStation VR's selling point.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think they have to go to the affordable route, but they need to do something not just with the experiences, but what the technology can do now to differentiate themselves. And like you just said, having the Move controllers from now 3 consoles ago is not the solution.
Yeah, I agree. Roro, how about some Spider-Man action in VR? What if Insomniac does a Spider-Man game?
I would lose my mind. That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
There was a Far From Home experience on PSVR.
Really?
It was not that good.
It was not. Okay.
Oh, shoot. I guess you would probably vomit if you were swinging from buildings in VR. That might be a little vomit-inducing.
Yeah.
So
probably.
All right. Moving on to the final news story, guys. PlayStation 5 launch games have had their pre-order bonuses revealed. So can I just say for a second here, I hate that there's pre-order bonuses for a platform that doesn't even exist yet. Like, you have to pre-order this on PlayStation 4, but you have to, it's PS5 games, but it's I don't know. But there's some interesting things in there, which many of
I don't even want to give this whole thing. I was so pissed when I read this yesterday, dude.
Really? Why?
2 of the games are games that I got.
Yeah.
And I'm at least guaranteed one thing, a scythe on Demon Souls, but all that armor I'm not going to get in Demon Souls because I'm not pre-ordering the digital edition.
And there's
I'm
a
like,
lot.
are you kidding me?
There's a lot in there. It's
exactly
Legendary Hero Soul, Renowned Warrior Soul, story. There's literally like 15 things here listed.
And all of it was content that wasn't in the original game too. So it's like beyond DLC stuff. So I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm missing out on that because I went with the physical edition. And I'm not going to cancel that pre-order just to do a digital.
Yeah,
it was just infuriating that like after the pre-orders went up physically, then you want to release the digital bonuses. Just dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. Roro, what do you think? I'm kind of just thinking Sony's trying to do this to try to incentivize people to switch to digital sales, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're excluding physical copies, though, like Sean was saying, and it's kind of scummy that they did it after the fact, like you're saying. I don't know. That's a head scratcher for me. Obviously, great for people who are downloading it digitally, but kind of weird that I'm hoping that at some point, once the game is installed, you'll just be able to download those pre-order bonuses. I don't know. I guess that wouldn't work though, because you'll get the game on the day. You won't know if you pre-ordered it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's infuriating with some of that stuff. Like,
maybe codes will come with it, hopefully.
Yeah.
I know that's how they're doing at least part of like one weapon in Demon Souls. And I don't even remember a scythe being a part of it. And I don't know how that'll work because Demon Souls is a lot slower than Dark Souls or Bloodborne. So I've just... Yeah, I was upset yesterday when I read it. I was like, this was pointless for me to pre-order these games physically then.
Yeah, it's understandable. I agree with what you guys were saying. I'm Rigby says, looks way too young. Okay, he's talking about the new Peter Parker for Spider-Man. Hold on to that thought, I'm Rigby. We'll be getting to that here in just a couple minutes in our topic of the show, and we'll shout you out then. So moving on, guys, into the games we are playing. I am still playing the Outer Worlds Peril on Gorgon DLC. I didn't really play it a whole lot more because the second game, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Season 3 content is out now. So ODST launched on PC and came with it a bunch of Season 3 content. So guys, I'm back into Master Chief Collection again. They keep getting me with these season content. They keep releasing new stuff, and I'm just like, yes, new stuff for a freaking 10-year-old game. Are you kidding me? Yes, please. So that game has one more game left to release on PC, which is Halo 4, and then we will finally
Then Infinite
have it
comes out in November, right?
Yeah, shut up, Sean.
Oh, my bad.
So that's all I have, Roro. It's up to you.
As you guys know, I'm playing Animal Crossing already. Won't talk too much about that. I am continuing Ghost of Tsushima, having a blast with it still. I'm kind of sad that I I waited so long to jump into it, but at the same time, I'm kind of mad that I didn't wait another week because now it's on sale for Games of the Generation.
Yep.
I'm like, what the heck? What was I thinking? Should have just waited a little bit longer. But I am happy that I'm playing it, and it's really good. It's really good. I'm glad. It's like probably one of the prettiest games that I played as well. It's insane.
Nice.
And yeah, that's what I've been playing right now because I already talked about it last week, but enjoying it a lot still.
Sweet.
I 100%ed Ori 2. So I didn't do that on the Xbox before, but I did it on the Switch. So that was a crowning achievement because, Daniel, I don't know if you did some of those time trials, but they are ridiculously hard in some of the spots.
Yes.
So I felt like a god when I did that. But actually, it was today, so I only played about like 2 hours of it. But I downloaded a new free-to-play JRPG, kind of actionish, on the PS4 called Genshin Impact. This was suggested by my friend Emily. Very aesthetically a mix of anime and Breath of the Wild. So the environment looks amazing. I'm not huge into the anime characters with that environment.
Yeah.
But I like the combat. Kind of simplistic, but so far I have 2 characters unlocked, so you can very easily switch between them very quickly. But it's not like you have both of them on the battlefield at once. You only have yourself, and then you just switch to that other character. I haven't gotten to the co-op part yet, which it is co-op, so that's actually really cool. Especially being an open world, like from the get-go, it's pretty much open world for it. But my God, is it sluggish when it comes to your movement. Like you use stamina for walking, jumping, swimming, climbing, and it's not like Breath of the Wild stamina where like that felt gradual. This is like immediately you just start taking. I died twice from drowning because I didn't realize that I had stamina for swimming. And I'm just like, oh my God, what the? And it's like literally the pool is like 2 feet deep. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Jesus.
So I told my friend Emily I'm going to give it another try just so we can try to play co-op together for it. But it is free to play. So if you're looking for something, just an interesting game now to play, suggest that just to check it out.
I jumped into it too. I think I'm probably pretty close to where you were. I have 2 characters unlocked as well, not super deep, but yeah, I think for a free-to-play game, it's beautiful. I think it gives you a lot to play with. At least that's what I've heard. I haven't gotten super far into it, but I've heard that for a free-to-play game, it's not too crazy with its microtransactions. Maybe it is later on, but yeah, I might give it another shot as well.
Sweet deal. Guys, I'll eventually get back to Ghost of Tsushima one day.
That's all, dude.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking.
Hopefully it's before the new consoles come out, because that's coming up pretty quick now at this point. So
it'll be one of the 99 games that you can play on your PS5.
Well, that's true. That's true. Will it? Wait, will it?
I would assume.
Oh, wait. Yeah, backwards compatible. Sorry, I'm stupid. Yeah. Moving on, guys, to the topic of the show. So Spider-Man PS5 remaster has been detailed and shown off. There was a new trailer as well that showed the new performance mode and the new, enhancements that Insomniac made for the PS5 version of this game. Very, very excited. I am very excited for this with all the enhancements they've done. So I guess we'll start with Peter Parker because we have a comment in our YouTube chat from I'm Rigby. He says, Peter Parker looks way too young. He's meant to be a seasoned version of Spidey. He looks too close to Tom Holland now. This was a weird decision. So it's interesting he says Tom Holland because I actually texted one of my other friends and I was like, hey, the new Spider-Man looks like Tom Holland, doesn't he, in Insomniac's game? And he's like, yeah, it actually does look similar to him, which I thought was interesting. But here's the thing. I don't have a problem with them changing his face. Insomniac did cite reasons for why they were actually changing it. It was due to here, I'll read the quote here. This does bring us to one of our bigger changes in order to bring the best performances to players with our next generation Marvel Spider-Man games. We had to recast the face of Peter Parker. We loved working with John Bubniak on the original game. However, to get a better match to Peter Parker / Spider-Man actor Yuri Lowenthal's facial capture, we have cast Ben Jordan to be the face model for Peter Parker on the PS5 console. He looks incredible in game, and Yuri's moving performances take on a new life. So I actually think the new version of him looks significantly better. That's just me personally. He does look younger. I see your complaints in regards to that, and you do say, yeah, now he looks younger than Miles, such a bad decision. I don't disagree with you that he does look younger, but I do understand from Insomniac's point of view, like they need to have someone else's face that matches better so that they can continue to push the envelope in terms of storytelling.
But he's only like 24 in the game. Because they've said that Spider-Man's been Spider-Man for 8 years. Yeah. Well, Spider-Man Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man around the age of 16, 15, 16. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he still kind of looks like a 24-year-old. I mean, I don't have any issue with that. I mean, I do think it's weird, but I like the explanation. The fact that they do say they wanted to look more like Yuri. Now, I think what would have been concerning to me is if they recast I guess the look of Miles Morales, because I think both Spider-Man, the PS4, and even Into the Spider-Verse really got what I always imagined in the comics, like more so what Miles Morales looked like. So I'm glad they kind of still stuck with that model, but I have no issue with them changing this model for the PlayStation 5 version.
Yeah, I agree. I do think Rigby makes a good point with how they look similar in age, Miles and Peter now. Like I never thought of that myself. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see if Peter Parker is in the DLC and in the Miles, not the DLC, the Miles game, and see how they interact. But I'm excited to see what this looks like in the full game, like the different scenes with this new Peter Parker. I personally was a little bit taken aback the first time I saw it. I've definitely warmed up to it quickly, and I think it'll just take some getting used to, and then it'll just be like another thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he looks great. At first, again, caught me off guard a little bit, but I think it does look a little bit more realistic. And as they said, I think they could do more with the facial animations if that's what their reasoning is behind it. There's so many different scenes, like at the very end of the game. I won't spoil it. I'm sure everybody here has played it though.
Yeah.
But at the end of the game, there's some really emotional moments. So I'm excited to see what those scenes look like with this new face and all the technical details that they're going to be able to do with the teeth is what they're saying, the skin and all that kind of stuff they mentioned in the blog posts. Yeah. So I'm down for it. What upsets me so much, or what is upsetting me when I was reading it, was just the immediate backlash that it got. And to an extent, I understand. We're all used to the PS4 version. I think I prefer the PS4 version, but again, I'm warming up to the PS5 version. Yeah. But I know these people work their butts off to make this, and it's not just like flick of a switch to change the face. They worked on the face, and then after they worked on the face, they went through all the scenes and changed the face there and did the anime. Like, it's a lot of work. So I can't imagine how, like, they've gone through so much, this studio in general, with this game, whether it be the puddles in the first time it was revealed, or the suits, or the Sam Raimi suit when that was a thing. So I feel for these developers sometimes, but at the same time, I also get where some people are coming from.
Well, and people just like to be pissed off. I mean, Kratos, and I remember when there was a little bit of hubbub about this, Kratos got replaced and did fantastic. And Kratos is not just a PlayStation icon, it's a Sony icon at this point in my mind, and got replaced not just with the character model, but also the actor from Battlestar Galactica. And he did amazing. I think he actually got like performance awards during that season. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's the developer's job to give us their story not to give us the story that we want, or the characters that we want, or the models that we want, any of that stuff. So
yeah,
I think we're just lucky to live in a time when you don't have only 32 pixels to play with. So deal with it, basically.
Yeah, see, and I'm also on the side of the developers on this, because this is very similar to Halo Infinite when that was shown off and people had an instant reaction of, oh, this looks this way. It's like, well, maybe it is if you warp your perspective a certain way, but like every developer has a reason why they do those things. And Jonathan Dornbush, I actually thought, put it very nicely at IGN. He said the more I sit with it, the more I think the new model looks more like a person than the PS4 version, which feels very video game approximation of a person, which I agree with. I think the PS4 version just looks a little like, I don't know, like plasticky, or I don't know, shiny or something like that.
I replayed that recently, and thinking back on it, and especially you saying that quote, like, honestly, probably the worst looking part of the Spider-Man game was honestly the human characters, not like the villains in their outfit or even Spider-Man in his suit. Like, it just, the human characters themselves looked way too gamey, and if this fixes that, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say that there are games that do cut corners and just do whatever they want to get the game out right away, but I just don't think that this is an example of that, obviously, with that huge blog post that they detailed the reasons and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's times when gamers should be angry at their developers for cutting corners, but them changing a face to make the game better, I don't think is, I don't know, you could like the PS4 version, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting this version of the game, like the deluxe edition?
Yes, I think I'm gonna get the deluxe edition.
Yeah,
me too.
It's too good. At first, I wasn't sure I was going to, even though I absolutely love that game. It was my game of the year. But after seeing these enhancements, 100%. And actually, we'll kind of go into those enhancements. So some of the enhancements they did: full next gen remaster. So they're calling it a full next gen remaster. This isn't just like an upres or whatever. They have overhauled environments, models, and materials. They're introducing ray tracing, which, if you've seen the still images of Spider-Man in the middle of the city between cars, like the ray tracing against the car windows is insane, and the building windows showing the reflections, absolutely insane. New skies and weather, 3D audio, instant loading, and a new photo mode. Like, there is a lot of new stuff in this remaster, and
you get the DLC.
And
which I never played, so that's actually my excitement.
I actually never finished it. I started it, but I never finished it, so I'm with you on that. But Miles will be first, of course.
Oh, 1,000%, 1,000%. That's the story I want to play.
Yeah,
but it does make me, like, when they say new weather enhancements and stuff like that, like, we really only got to experience like lightning one time in one mission.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really cool thing, that because of the electrical powers when it comes to Miles Morales, if somehow then electricity is brought more, so okay, you're caught in a thunderstorm with Spider-Man, and we know from the comics that is terrible weather for him to be swinging about and everything. So what if that does affect what you can do as Spider-Man during just swinging around or a mission? Even so, like, I don't know, I think that would be a really cool effect.
Yeah, I agree. And man, I just I can't wait to replay this game. Roro, are you gonna replay it?
Absolutely. I don't know if I'm gonna platinum it again, but I'm definitely I might platinum it again. Probably not the first thing that I'll do on PS5, but I'm definitely excited to replay it. A weird thing is, if Peter Parker shows up in the Miles DLC and I'm playing on PS4, will he have the old face or the new face?
It's a good question.
That is a good question.
Like, when you're playing, the PS4 version is not getting updated. Right. They're not going to like retroactively update that at all. It's just the PS5 version of the game.
Yeah.
So, but you can play Miles Morales on the PS4. So that's going to be...
I'm sure it'll have the new face, just like a little...
I do too. It'd just be weird to play back and forth.
Right,
like that type of thing.
Yeah.
I imagine I could be wrong, but I'd imagine that Peter is just going to be like more of a cameo in Miles Morales. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but maybe in the same vein that Miles was a cameo in Spider-Man PS4.
But see, I wouldn't consider him a cameo in PS4 though. I'd consider him a side character because he had a lot of dialogue.
Did he show up? Did he show up? Wait, maybe I'm remembering this wrong. It's been a long time since I played
Miles
this.
Morales was in from like the 5th mission on because of his dad and everything.
Oh, that's right. I was, for some reason, I had it in my head that from that trailer when you see Miles like turn around and like I think Spider-Man's going in the middle of the square or whatever, and like that shot. That's what I pictured, and then, yes, I completely forgot that entire. I gotta replay this, guys. Apparently,
so. Yeah, I was gonna say he was definitely heavily featured and all that stuff with Feast and everything like that, and taking care of Aunt May.
That's right,
and all that stuff. So yeah, he's heavily involved in it. So I think Peter Parker is gonna be almost like Batman Arkham series Oracle. I really see that kind of coming in. Maybe not like so much as giving the missions and all that stuff, but being really the person that he leans on when it comes to figuring out how to deal with his new powers, new responsibilities, and everything like that. Because two Spider-Man existing in the same world, we sometimes see that in comics. We don't really ever see that in the video game universe. So it'd be very interesting to see how that's going to be played out.
Yeah, it will. But I think we are all excited for this game. So I'm ready for more Spider-Man. Guys, anything else before we get to the giveaway?
I mean, have you seen the crunch time things with Cyberpunk?
Oh, yes, I have. I actually forgot about that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw that earlier today. I forgot to tell you about that.
Yeah.
Just interesting. I mean, I was hoping that wasn't what was going to happen, but
yeah. I think
it's kind of to be expected from game companies. You just hope that they handle it with as much decorum as they can.
Yeah, I think the problem is a game that's going to get delayed, no matter how many times it gets delayed, it's still going to have that period of time where you have crunch, where you have to get to the finish line, so to speak. So, like Cyberpunk's 6 weeks away at this point. They are trying to get the game ready for that date. If they delay 3 months or something like that, they're still, delaying the inevitable. They're still delaying the fact that they have to crunch to that date then at that point. I think it's an unfortunate side effect of the industry. I don't know if it can be fixed, but I don't know. I do commend CD Projekt Red with being very open about it. They made their own post about it and saying that they are paying their employees overtime very handsomely, so to speak, and the employees do get a big profit share from the game itself. It's not a game like Call of Duty where Activision takes most of the money. CD Projekt Red actually spreads that success, so to speak, of their games to their employees. So I think that at least is a bright spot in this. I definitely think crunch is something that hopefully can be addressed one day, because it's never good for employees to have to deal with, so much overworking and stress and all of that. But right now, I think it's an unfortunate just side effect of the industry. Roro, what do you think about that before we exit the show?
Yeah, I mean, I could just echo what you're saying. I'm always more in the camp of delaying a game than obviously to have these people work super hard and just deteriorate their mental health in order for us to be able to play a video game that we could just wait for, a couple more months for. I never see it as worth it to put these human beings having to work so gosh darn hard for us to play a video game. But as you were explaining there, it is good how they are. It's so weird to say rewarding their employees for doing crunch. How they're dispersing the success and all that kind of stuff. I think that is good. If you're going to do crunch, I think that's I guess, the best possible way you could do it. But yeah, I rather it be delayed again. As much as I really want to play this game, I was heartbroken when it was delayed the first time. But I think these people are more important.
I agree. All right, guys. Anything else before we go to the giveaway now, Sean? You got any other aces up your sleeve?
That was it.
Okay.
That was it. Good night.
Right. Okay. All right. So we had 3 people participate in the chat, and 2 of them I work with. There's no shenanigans going on here. And to prove that there's no shenanigans going on here, I'm going to switch this here. Which I don't know if Rigby's still in here, but Rigby, if you're still here, if you want a mug, this is for the mug. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the mug. Actually, let me refresh the page just to make it fair. No, not 1 to 10, 1 to 3. So to make this clear, Waxin is number 1 because he commented first. S Rankin is number 2. Rigby's number 3. All right, here we go. Number 3, Rigby. Oh. You have won the mug if you want it. If you're still there, let me know, and I will reach out to you to get you the mug. So I believe that is all we have, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and send us to our outro. Congratulations, everyone. I don't need that screen capture on there. We'd double screen capture. Thank you again to everyone joining both live on YouTube and on podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you, Roro. Thank you, Sean. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
Deuces.
See ya.